Gunline. I got a fire mission coming down for y'all, baby. It's your host Lopez, and you're listening to the On the Gunline podcast, where we shoot the shit like we did out in the field. So go on and pop a squat because it's about to get hot right now. You are on the Gunline. Today, I have a guest, first time guest here on the Gunline with us. His name is Vincent Campos. We served together in 277 Field Artillery back in Fort Hood. Back from I was there from 05 to 07. I don't know how much longer he was there after I left, but one thing I will say is I do remember him. We weren't running into the same cliques per se, because you always have your little subgroups, but we knew of Campos. We knew of Campos because he was the man we should have listened to about Ron Paul back then, but we'll get into that. With that being said, I want to welcome you here. What's going on, man? How you doing, Campos?
Really, really good, man. Good to see you. It's a long time.
Yeah, it has been, man. I mean, it's been shit. Can you believe it's almost been fucking 20 years, bro?
Yeah, it's about 18 years now, but yeah, it's getting on 20.
Yeah, bro. I like to round up, it just
Yeah.
makes it sound cooler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good shit, brother. So, man, what have you been up to over the last couple of years? Like, I mean, well, let's get this out of the way. How long have you been out now?
Well, I got out October. I got out active duty October 07.
Okay.
And then I went back into the Guard in 2015.
Oh,
And
wow.
then
Okay.
I got out of the Guard in 2020.
Oh, damn. So you've been a
Yeah.
little bit active. You did both active and fucking nasty girl. That's good shit,
Yep.
man. Good shit.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and piggyback off of that, man. Well, what do you do now?
So now I'm an accounting manager or an accountant. I work for a trucking company.
Okay. That works. That's good, man. It pays the bills, right, baby? That's all that
Oh, yeah.
matters. Shit,
Yeah.
good stuff, man. That's awesome. So good stuff. Let's go ahead and Charlie Mike through this, baby. By the way, it's Halloween night, and I didn't take that into account when we set up this fucking, because we've been trying to link up for a hot minute now, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
All right, but shit happens, and I didn't even realize today was Halloween, so hopefully I don't get bothered too much. I left candy outside for the kids to pick up. So, but with that said, brother, Campos, where are you from originally?
So I was born in Omaha, Nebraska, and
shit.
that's where I currently work. But I don't live in Omaha. I actually live across the Missouri River in a town called Council Bluffs, Iowa. And so that's where I grew up, was in Council Bluffs. But if you know where Omaha's at, you'll know where Council Bluffs is at.
I actually know where Omaha is. I
Yeah.
know exactly where that's at, and I know that Iowa is like literally right around the fucking corner from y'all.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good shit, dude. So what was your childhood like? Where is like a small town? Fucking, what was it like growing up where you were at?
So like it wasn't bad. So like I would call it a pretty big town, but we're right next to Omaha. So like I literally, if I get in the car, I'm probably about literally 6 minutes from downtown Omaha.
Okay.
So as soon as I cross the river, cross the Missouri, big buildings, skyscrapers right there.
How old are you?
So I am 37.
Okay, cool. So you grew up 90s, right?
Yeah. Oh, 90s
Okay.
kid. Yep. Oh,
So
yeah.
okay, cool. Tell me, what was your experience like, in like junior high, high school? Like, how did that mold Campos to eventually join the motherfucking military?
So it's funny you asked that because I joined Facebook within the last year and a half, and so with that I've been catching up with a lot of people, not only from our unit but also from people I went to high school with. And so last year we just been talking to the few people I've been talking to. We've been going over like just how things were back then, just how the problems we had back then, but now the problems we have now are nowhere near what
Mm-hmm.
just different. But then also pop culture and all that, and so, I grew up when I went into junior high. I was going into junior high when Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, all that stuff just came out that year, that seventh grade year of junior high. That's when it all came out.
And for a lot of our guests who know you, we know who you had a crush on. And I wasn't gonna say nothing about that, but you sure as fuck you were hitting on it. I was gonna steer away from that shit, but you had a major fucking crush on someone. Is it still, are you still in love with her, man?
I mean, she's beautiful. She still is beautiful. I mean, she's beautiful back then. She's still beautiful now.
And for those that don't know, it's Hillary fucking Duff, y'all. Hillary Duff. If it's one thing that we knew Campos about was Hillary Duff. I'm not lying to you. I was trying to steer away from that, but when you brought that shit, I'm like, oh, we going there early. So yeah, how did that influence you then, man? I mean, you were in seventh grade. That shit, like, so the teeny boppers popped out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so where were you going with that?
I mean, it's just that like it was such a big like teen craze that was going on. And I think just, with my study of history and I guess looking at things when I was a kid until now, I think Hollywood does this. I think like eh, they'll go through a big, huge teen phase thing, bring a whole bunch of new people in. It's big for maybe 4 years, then it kind of goes down and then it's big again. So, like, for us, it was, the Britney Spears Instinct, Backstreet Boys, all those people, it went down. You had a few people, and then all of a sudden, Justin Bieber,
Mm.
and so then, then later, and then now he's not as big anymore. And then 3, 4 years, someone else comes
So
up.
you think that it
So,
goes through ebb and flows as far as like how to manipulate or probably guide the culture of the
yeah, a
youth?
little bit. I mean, you can call it marketing. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's about making money.
Yeah,
I think that you want to get in a little bit of the political part of it. Yeah, I do think there's a little bit of people putting their hands in there with cultural or political influence, but
gotcha.
for the most part, it's marketing and making money.
What was your high school like? I mean, like, okay, let me ask you this: do you have any family or like direct family that was prior service military?
No, not really.
Oh
Probably
wow,
the closest one was my grandpa,
no
and that was
shit.
back
Okay,
in World War II.
no shit. All right, so
Yeah,
being that you're from, well, you're from Nebraska, Council Bluffs, whatever out there.
yeah,
Your last name is Campos. How much
yeah.
Spanish do you know? Are you even Spanish influenced
I
at all, or are you like second, third,
not.
fourth generation?
I'd say fourth generation. I didn't. I mean, I grew up in a small, mostly predominantly white town,
Okay,
and so yeah, I didn't have that influence. My mom can speak a little bit of Spanish, and my dad was in the band years ago. So there's that, but me, no.
so wait, so your parents did speak. Well, they are Mexican or
Yeah,
of Mexican descent.
yeah,
Okay, right on. I don't know if you're like a white chicken, like half white or anything like that, or Indian, because there's a lot of Indians out there in that area as well. So,
yeah.
right on. Okay, cool. So, your grandpa was the last person that you know of that was military. How does Campos join the army? Talk to me that experience, man.
So for me it was multiple things. Like some people they have one thing that did it. For me, it's
Mm-hmm.
multiple things. One, wanted to get out and grow up, get away from Council Bluffs, get away from Omaha, see the world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, till this day, there's people that I know who still haven't grown up. They're still in that mentality. And as soon as I finished high school, I wanted to get out of here. There's that. There was I needed to do something with my life afterwards. Eventually, I knew I was going to do college, but I just wasn't at that time. I was not ready for it.
Right.
I wasn't mature enough for it. Needed work. That was another reason. But I think the probably the big motivator was I was sophomore. I was a sophomore in high school when 9/11 happened. So when that
Uh,
happened, that was a big motivator that I told myself, yeah, going to have to I'm going to have to sign up.
okay. So, were there any options between like the branches, or was the army the one you were set on?
I'd say Army was probably the one was set on. The Air Force, I figure if I was going to join the Air Force, I'd want to be a pilot. You got to go to school for that.
Mm-hmm.
Navy, I can barely swim, don't like the water. And then the Marine Corps, you just don't have that much options. So
Right.
yeah,
But you get to be a fucking Marine.
yeah.
Okay,
Well, that's
yeah, I mean, I get it. One thing I take
yeah.
is a lot of pride in the army. Kind of like the jarheads do with their fucking. Once a Marine, always a Marine. I feel the same way about being a soldier. Once you're a soldier, you're always a
Oh yeah.
soldier. There's a lot of people that don't look at it that way. They don't take that pride. I do. I have that pride within my service. So all right. So you got to talk to a recruiter. You took the ASVAB. How did you land a 13 Bravo slot?
So I've always studied history since I was a kid.
Okay.
Probably I have history books that I have in my library right now that I probably purchased maybe when I was about 9, 10 years old. And so
Shit.
I have one section on my shelf that's just dedicated to the Napoleonic Wars and Napoleon. And so if you know anything about him, he was a artillery officer.
Hmm.
Um, and so just knowing his life and just knowing everything about the Napoleonic Wars. Also, someone else, and at the time I really liked the guy. Now I don't politically, but Alexander Hamilton was
Okay.
also an artillery officer.
Yes, he was.
Um, and his unit, and by the way, I think his
Fort
unit, I forgot
Riley.
the name of the unit. Yeah, they're well, I think they. Oh, I guess I
I
thought
think it's one
they're
five out of Fort Riley. It's
okay.
Hamilton's
I
own.
think that okay. Yeah, his I know his unit's still around, and so those two guys had a big influence in regards of me choosing 13 Bravo when I signed up for the
Okay.
army.
Okay. Did you have any other options, or is that just you were dead set with that?
I was pretty much dead set. I think my second option might have been infantry, but I was dead set on field artillery.
I don't blame you, baby. I don't blame you. Myself, I was more tanker, but I didn't get that, and I've already given my I've already given my story on that many times. But good shit. Okay, so 13 Bravo. What year did you join?
2004.
2004. Okay, what
Yeah,
year did you go through basic? Oh,
summer
not
of
what year,
'04.
what months?
So I
Who was in your
remember
basic from our unit?
France. Oh, there's a whole bunch of guys, man. France, Becerra, Johnson, rest of the
Silk.
soul.
Mm.
Um, who else, man? There's a whole bunch of guys. McCabe, he was in my platoon, but he was in my battery.
McCabe?
Yeah, McCabe.
Okay.
Uh, oh man, there's probably about we probably have about 16 guys that Krieger was there.
Okay. Do me a
Um,
favor. Give me 1 second. I got to pause this for a second. Okay. All right. Due to some difficulties, I had to go away. I'm back. We're good to go. My daughter is outside scaring the shit out of little kids, and I just wanted to make sure she didn't do that to a toddler baby, and then fucking paranoid her forever. So last we were talking about those who were in your unit. So McCabe was in your unit. So McCabe's battle buddy is actually one of my good friends from
okay,
basic training. His name is Urena.
okay,
So I don't know if you knew him too, but
no,
they were battle buddies in there. But yeah, man. Okay, so tell me about your
that
basic training experience.
I'm trying to think who. So Thrill Kill was there.
Okay.
Do you ever know Kovac?
Yes, I do remember that name, Kovac.
Yeah, he did. He was probably in our unit for like 3 months when we got there, and then he got in all kinds of trouble, and he's I don't know if he's still in prison or not, but anyway,
Oh shit. Yeah. See that there's some things that I don't recall from a long motherfucking time ago, bro. But
yeah,
because like I said, I mean, I remember a lot, but from the folks that I used to mainly run around with. Like for me, it was me, McConnell, Moya, Holguin, Sanchez, Diaz, Kowalczyk,
uh, no, okay, never mind. I
Cruz.
thought Cruz, Weiss. I went to he was in my
Ah,
basic.
Weiss. Yeah, right on.
Weiss. Yep.
Hell yeah,
I
dude.
I think that's from what I remember. There was a few other people that like two or three people that were in Bravo Battery. I
Mhm.
forgot their names, and then there was like two or three fisters that came, and then once they got rid of the fisters in our unit, they went somewhere else at Fort Hood.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was basic training how did it compare to what your thoughts were going to be like? What did you think basic was going to be like versus your first experience there?
Well, the first thing is on the way going there, I was nervous as hell,
Hmm.
especially that bus ride from Oklahoma City to Fort Sill.
Okay.
Um, I think after the first night of was it 91st, the replacement, I think
95th.
it's called 95th. Then I was okay, and then and we kept hearing about shark attack, and then once they actually showed up and they started yelling at us. And here's the other thing: I didn't shave that day. There was like 2 days I went without shaving. Oh, they're all over. I got yelled at probably 3 or 4 times, and then I messed up by calling some of the drill sergeants sir. Um, yeah, and so yeah, I got yelled at. But the funny thing is with them yelling at me and all making me do push-ups, I was like, you know what? This ain't nothing. I can get through this. So all that anxiety and me being nervous just completely just went away.
Okay.
So so yeah, I mean it was all right.
Did you fly below the radar while you were in basic, like to avoid, getting picked on, I guess you could say, by the motherfucking drills?
So
Or
the very first day I got picked on because of all that. They learned my name quickly, and so
oh
I
shit.
remember once we got to the actual unit, we were sitting down, and then some drill sergeant called my name. He says, "Corporal, stand up," but he was looking at some other kid and calling him that, and so I didn't stand up, and then the other kid was like, who are you talking to? And then he's like, "I'm talking to you." And then the drill sergeant turned and said, "Corporals, I know that name. Who's that? Stand up." And so then I stood up. And
Oh,
then that's when like three of them were like, "Oh, look, we already know who you are."
oh fuck, dude.
Yeah,
That's no bueno.
yeah. But it was after the first 2 days, it was nothing because I pretty much quit. I just kept quiet and didn't get. I mostly stayed out of trouble. There's a few times I got in trouble in basic, but I didn't do stuff the other guys did.
Oh, all right. Like, what do you mean? Like, what kind of stuff are we talking about that the other guys did, or that you got in
Uh,
trouble for?
saying stupid stuff to drill sergeants or getting that or throwing tantrums and then just getting smoked for it. I don't know, just being stupid, just doing stupid stuff. And then like, sometimes some of the guys that get picked on, it's like, if you didn't act a certain way you did and say the
Hmm.
things you did, you want to get picked on. And so I just didn't do that stuff. I just, I was there. I did this hard. I pushed as hard as I could when it comes to PT.
Okay.
Whenever we went to training for anything, I kept my mouth shut and tried to learn to do the best I could. And
What do you think was the most
yeah,
difficult part for you going through boot camp?
I don't, that's hard. Probably just be, being experienced with something new
Okay.
because I left for basic. I left for basic a month after high school.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Wow, dude. Thanks for making me feel
yeah,
fucking ancient.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Fuck, bro. My 27th birthday was my first day at the 95th.
Holy
Fuck.
shit.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So, all right. What do you think was one of the experience? Like, tell me one of the best experiences from basic training that you had and one of the worsts.
Probably just being able to pass PT it easier than like seeing other guys struggle.
Hmm.
Um, and then like when you asked about expectations earlier, like I remember spending like the before basic, spending 2 months just practicing every night push-ups. Just doing because I was like, I didn't want to go, I didn't want to, I'm thinking I'm going to be with guys from all over the country. I don't want to be
Hmm.
going into basic training. This is the army. I'm going to be in there. I don't want to be in there looking like some weak ass kid. And so, so then it's because of me practicing like I did, and then and pushing myself. Uh, yeah, it just when other guys, when I was passing the PT test, other guys were failing, I
Right.
felt pretty good about it.
Well, I'll tell you what. One of the things that I didn't learn until I went to Fort Sill for our OSUT, one station unit training, was
Yeah.
there was this thing called running shoes. I had no idea that there was running shoes, like shoes made specifically for running. Now, I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast. I'm sure I have, but right before I went to basic training, I decided I'm gonna buy me some new shoes, to run in. I'm big into K Swiss. All right, K
Oh
Swiss are
yeah.
my fucking shoes. I love my shoes.
Oh, yeah,
So I bought me some new K Swiss,
yeah.
and I tried running in them. Apparently I made it about a quarter mile, and I was like, I fucking quit. My feet hurt. Everything hurts. And I tried running in those. They're not made for running. Apparently I needed to buy some like fucking Reeboks or some Nike running shoes, or I didn't. Basically, what I'm saying is I didn't fucking know. I was ignorant to it. But like
Yeah.
you, I did try to get myself in some kind of shape in order to to get to basic training. When I first got there, bro, like I mean, I think I could do like maybe 20 sit-ups, and then like correct push-ups, maybe 30 correct push-ups, maybe. You know what I mean? So I wasn't a weak motherfucker, but I wasn't strong either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and
but
that's kind of that's kind of always how it was, whether it was in basic or at duty station, is that you'd have guys who would be really good at push-ups. They
mhm.
couldn't do sit-ups. Guys who would be really good at the run. and
Mm-hmm.
put good at sit ups, but they couldn't do push ups. And
Yeah.
it was like it was always one thing that somebody had.
Yep. I mean, but I mean, one thing I did learn was to start looking at the whole soldier concept as I came up in the ranks. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but that wasn't looked at much when we were privates. You know, when we were privates, if you were a PT stud, you fucking led the way in everything. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
but dude, let me ask you. So that was one of your best experiences. Okay, so tell me one of your worst experiences in basic.
Oh, getting in a fight.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, I got in a fight with one guy, and we made up. We made up like a couple, like 2 days afterwards. And it was something. It was something really stupid, but it was in the laundry room, and we got in a fight, and I gave him a bloody nose. And so, what was funny is it was a Saturday, and I think we were in AIT,
Mm.
and it was a Saturday. So in AIT, that's when they started giving us weekend passes. So I got my because of what happened, I got my pass revoked. So while everybody got to go out and have fun for the day, I got um, and then when everybody came back, there was a time where people were watching movies, and
Hmm.
so then the drill sergeant. Oh no, that was another time. That was another time. But no, that day I got my pass revoked.
I'm just trying to wonder weekend passes. You guys got weekend passes. You came in before I did.
So yeah, so the weekend. So I guess what that entailed was you had to be back later on, like a certain time period. So they let us like if it's a Saturday, they let us go um like probably around like 9 o'clock in the morning. And then uh they said that they only want us to stay on post, although guys would leave and then come back. But as long as you were back in formation by 5 o'clock that night, then everything's good.
That's some bullshit, Lotto.
Yeah, but that was only an AIT. That was after we passed basic, and then they're like, okay, on the weekends we'll let you guys have passes.
That's still some bullshit. Because I mean, when we went from we barely got to wear our berets. That was like a big deal for us when we
Yep.
were done with basic and went to AIT portion of it.
Yeah.
We didn't have no weekend passes. They would march us to get our haircuts, and they would let us go into the little shop pit that was across from our barracks. And then, nope, that was it. That was, we didn't get weekend pay. I don't, you know what? I'm gonna talk a lot of shit to a lot of them fools that were in your fucking in your basic. Motherfuckers got weekend passes, little bitches. Nah, nah, but that's cool, man. I got you. See, for me, my worst experience was the fucking CS chamber. The gas chamber was the worst experience ever. I I've never come so close to dying in my life.
I uh I got a funny story at that, and if maybe if any of the guys that was in the gas chamber with me may remember this, but
Give me
when
one
they
quick
it,
second. Push,
yeah,
let me.
go ahead.
Sorry. 1 second. All right, sorry about that, y'all. Had to make another quick stop because my daughter, I think, made some kids cry out there, so I
Oh
had
my
to go
goodness.
check on that. But now everything's all good. All right, so you were telling us a story about was the gas chamber, right?
Yeah, so you remember there's the cold room and then the hot room.
Yes.
You remember that? Okay, so in the cold room they told us to like open the mask and then like put it back on.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we were doing that, I did that, and like the back just like snapped, like it slipped off. So then it completely came off, and then I started panicking, and then I breathed it in a little bit, and I was like, and I just started doing this, and then the drill sergeant grabbed it and started putting it in, and I was just in so much pain, and I'm not joking, I went like this and pushed his face out and knocked him down
Oh
because I
shit!
was just because I was just panicking, and
Right.
I was in pain. I wasn't in as much pain, obviously, that what came soon, but
Mm-hmm.
I felt it. So then
Mm-hmm.
finally he just yells at me. He goes, "Put your hands down," and I did. And then that's when he puts the gas mask back on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then so then as we slowly start going into the hot room, I was just telling guys, I'm like, "You guys ain't gonna like this. You guys ain't gonna," and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I just said, "You guys ain't gonna like this," but yeah,
My God, dude, I feel your pain on that. Because so for those that don't know, you have a cold room and a hot room. In the cold room, what they make you do is they make you go ahead and break the seal and to let the gas in, and then you close it back up and you clear your mask, and basically it's to gain confidence that your mask works. All right, because once you put it back on and you clear it, you're able to breathe normal again. And then when you go to the hot room, that's where the shit show begins, because I'm pretty sure they did the same with you all, where they made us line up, and then we're like 5 at a time. We just pull our
and
masks off
and you have to watch the guys in front of you go
in
through
front of you to
hell
go. Yep, because
before you
they
go.
had you lined up in the whole fucking inside the room. It's like, and then you see 5 at a time. You 5 go, and then they tell you go ahead. All right, take it off, and then fucking say the soldier's creed, say your name.
Oh,
Oh, that was fuck. I think I was like, I remember I took a big gulp. I was like, Private Danny Alfonso Lopez, 555, my whole social, and then all that. And then I got to the, I am an American soldier. And that's when I took in the big gulp, and that was it, bro. I went straight to my knee and I started breathing. And each breath, like you said, it's like blades cutting your lungs, is what it feels like,
yeah,
And I
in
remember
your eyes.
Joe Sergeant Schlochter told us, man, he's like, are you going to die? Nope. But you're going to wish you did. That motherfucker, man, he was something else.
Yeah,
But that was in Delta Battery 122. I'm guessing you were like in Alpha Bravo or something.
Alpha 122.
Okay.
Yep.
That's crazy, dude. But yeah, those were like, some experiences that stick with us forever,
And I got another one. And
Go ahead.
so on the way going out, I got my hand on the guy in front of me, and we're
Right.
going out, and the guy that was in front of me was pushing whoever was in front of him. And
Mm-hmm.
so he like walked right out, and then the drill sergeant like put his hand and like held me in and grabbed him, pulled him back in to the gas chamber and said, "Don't push." And then it's like then he pushed him out. And then finally I'm able to go out.
Oh
But then
boy.
it doesn't end there. So then we go out and we finally recover.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. Before this is something scary. Before we even went in there,
Mm-hmm.
um third platoon was in there, and we're waiting, and we're seeing guys coming out going, oh,
Yeah, flapping their
all
arms.
this.
Mm-hmm.
And then so then all of a sudden the door busts open, and they're pulling this one guy out, and he has blood coming out of his mouth.
Oh
And
shit.
then yeah, and then two of the drill sergeants put him in the back of the truck, and they're taking him away, and we're all looking like, what the hell just happened? And so then finally, I remember Drill Sergeant Snyder comes up and he finally talks to us like normal people because he tries to
Mm-hmm.
calm us down because he knows that we're all scared after seeing that. And he says, "Listen, here's what you have to breathe." He says, "What happened was is he went in there, tried to hold his breath,
Mm-hmm.
and then he took a big whiff, and then he just went out, and when he went out, he just smacked his face or his mouth right
Gotcha.
on the concrete, and so he cut his lip open, and that's what it
Mm.
was. I thought all of us we were thinking like blood was coming out of his lungs.
Because of the fucking, yeah. See,
Yeah, that's what we were thinking.
my mind would have gone to like, okay, they fucked him up because our drill sergeants told us, like, you come at us, we're gonna fuck you up. And they
Yeah,
had like bars on the windows already because motherfuckers would try to run and jump through the windows to get out of there.
yeah,
So that the CS, the gas chamber, is definitely one of those experiences that's as closest to death you might get before fucking dying. You know what I mean? It's one of
oh,
the but it's there to build that trust with that fucking mask. And we're running out of time here for the first segment. The next segment, we're gonna go ahead and talk about getting to the unit and deploying. You know what I'm saying? So but that one should be a little bit easier because my daughter, she knows the rules now, so I could actually trust in her to not fucking scare people too much. But dude, I mean, it's really great catching up here with you because honestly, this is more than a catch up. It's more of a getting to know you as well. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So those that don't know, just to set it up a little bit before we get on, when once we start talking about the life in the barracks, because that's where you stayed. I was in the barracks, right?
yeah, two seven
So,
seven.
yep, we're gonna go ahead and I want to go ahead and start dabbling a little bit into in picking your political brain.
Oh,
How you got involved in that, and did that have anything to do with your military experience while you were there as well? But obviously, we're gonna talk about the deployment. We're gonna talk about deployment, who you hung out with, what did you do on the weekends other than try to go see Ron Paul in uniform? Genius. We're gonna talk about that one too. So, but I mean, all of this is lighthearted because believe it or not, at the end of the day, Campos is still my brother from another mother because we served together, my brother in arms. And
yep,
even if we don't see eye to eye politically, which I'm sure there are some things that we're not gonna agree with, but that's the beautiful thing about being on the gun line. You have these
yeah.
conversations like this, how it was out in the field. So with that being said, I got about 59 seconds. Give you some time. It's gonna take about 10 minutes to send you that link, fool. So right now it's 7:02. So at about 7:15, we'll catch back up. We are
Sound like a
back
plan?
here
All
with
right.
the story of Campos, man. All right, so when we left off, we were talking about fucking basic training. Now we're gonna go ahead and move over to the unit. Once you got to now, you only served in 277, is that correct, or were you there for the change over to 582?
Just 277.
Okay, cool shit. So tell me about it, man. What was your experience when you first got to the Fort Hood, and what were you thinking like it was
So
gonna be like?
so I had that in-house or in-town recruiting thing
Okay,
to help out with the recruits. After when I left basic, I got another week off of leave. And so the reason why I mentioned that is because then when I got to the unit, I got to the unit like a week and a half, 2 weeks after all these other guys who I went to basic with who went to Fort Hood. Because like I said, there was probably about in the battery on the entire battery, I just remember there was probably about at least good 20 guys I remember seeing
oh shit,
that came from um I remember when they were calling everybody out on duty station. There's Fort Hood probably got the majority
right.
when we were at basic. So when I got there, I got greeted by a lot of people, and so it was a little bit nerve wracking. But uh, got to first replacement or whatever you call it, and then they put us in the unit, and then it was just basically just I just kept my mouth shut and just talk to the guys I knew and started to get to know new people, and yeah.
Who was your chief?
At first, it was Sergeant Martinez.
Okay.
Then it permanently became Sergeant Griffin.
Oh,
Then
okay.
of course when they put us in was it PSD? Then it was Gunny Hopper or Smoke Hopper.
Okay, right on. Good
Yeah.
shit. How was how did so once you got to basic, who did you hang around with?
Well, when I got to the unit, well, France was my battle buddy, my
Okay,
roommate, and I already knew France from basic training. So
right.
at the beginning, I talked to France, hung out with France, and then just started to get to know people. And then over time, I started hanging out with as more people started coming in because remember when I got there, they just reopened the 277. Like there's a whole bunch of these guys that came from 316. Um, and so it was like everybody was new. Like we were new from basic training. You had all these NCOs that were coming from all over, wherever, whatever base they are coming from to the unit. Everybody and everything was new. Even Smoke Watley, he just left being a drill sergeant.
Right,
Yeah, and he got there, and so like everything was new for everybody.
right.
And so yeah, I just started getting to know people, and as people trickled in, like you guys and some of the other guys that came from Fort Sill, there, I started getting to know people. But I probably primarily hung out with people like Dickerson and Pelfy,
Okay.
um, Wheeler. Right before we went to Iraq,
The
I hung out a lot
Wheeler.
with Wheeler. Yeah, I really started helping. Well, I'm not gonna get in that, but yeah, Wheeler and yeah,
Hey, you might be hearing some people on the background.
I don't hear anything.
Let me make sure my daughter's still okay. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that, y'all. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Fuck, man, I hate that. I hate getting fucking interrupted like this. But okay, so I'm back. She just scared a whole group of fucking kids, and I just want to make sure she wasn't getting beat up. So all right, fucking Wheeler, man. One thing I remember about Wheeler was were you on the bus with us when we were going when we were manifesting to go to Iraq? Were you in the bus
I
with?
had to have been because he was in my platoon and
Okay,
going to Iraq.
okay. So when we were in the bus going to Iraq, we were all quiet, letting that shit. We were about to hit the. We were just leaving the gym, and we're taking off, headed out to the airport, to catch our
Yeah,
flight.
yeah.
And everybody's all quiet and just letting it sink in, like, oh shit, we're about to deploy, we're about to be wheels up. And out of nowhere, like I was sitting, I think, next to Kowalczyk, and out of nowhere, you just hear, and that's the motherfuckers that fuck animals. Like, what the? fuck?
I remember shit like
And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, Wheeler? And even to this day, man, Kowalski and I, we started laughing like, what the fuck was Wheeler talking about? Fucking
I
animals,
actually,
fucking
actually,
pigs?
actually, actually, I know what he's talking about. I don't know if you want me to say it because it's about another
Yeah,
soldier.
that's fine. Dude.
Okay, so you remember, uh, Wheeler got in trouble because he was living off post, and then they made him live in barracks.
Right.
So then, it was me and Palpy in one room, and then the room next door to us was it was Becerra and Krieger. Krieger got married, I think.
Okay.
He moved off post, and so then when Wheeler got in trouble, they made Wheeler live with Becerra, and
Okay.
he was going through uh we Becerra was gone, and Wheeler was going through porn mags and found a CD with that stuff in it of Becerra's. Yeah, and
So
I
you're
won't go more. I won't go
so
in more detail, but that's as far. Yeah,
so there was a fucking allegedly there was a CD that may or may not have had some porn that involved the yeah,
humans.
I think the non-human kind. I got you. Wow.
Well, there was humans from what Wheeler said. There was humans involved, but
Yeah, but also with
yeah,
some bestiality type shit. Hey, whatever floats your boat, baby. I get called weird because
yeah,
I like looking at toes. So
yeah,
it's not a fetish, by the way. I just like cute feet. God damn it, dude. That's fucking. Thank you for clearing that one up.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
definitely
And
something that we.
I think he was telling Walker. That's what I think he was telling Walker. Yeah, because I
Oh,
remember that.
yeah, dude. Like everybody's just in there, like we're getting in the zone, we're getting ready, and out of nowhere, there was people fucking animals. Like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? Oh, Wheeler, man, that boy was something. He was one country ass motherfucker, man. I
Yep.
hope he's doing well out there. Shit, man. Well, let's talk about a little bit on primarily why you're here as well. Um,
Okay.
how did you become politically active? Because you were started already dabble in politics during that time, right?
So I've always been a student of history, but not really necessarily of politics. Like I'd hear about it as a kid and growing up. To me,
Mm-hmm.
when I looked at politics growing up as a kid, I was like, that you got to be rich and smart for that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which is a fallacy, by the way. But I've always been in the history, so that's kind of why I had a little bit a better understanding or faster understanding, like compared to other people. But what got me into it was basically our experience in our Iraq, just basically seeing that how much oil is involved in it, how much
Mm-hmm.
money these defense contractors make. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Companies like Halliburton, like KBR, Raytheon, and Northrop
Oh,
Grumman.
so this was during and after the deployment is when you started getting
Yeah,
more active into it then.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's talk a little bit about the deployment before we
Okay,
jump into it then. So while we were out there, our mission was primarily fucking PSDs, like private security or something like that detachment
yeah,
or personal security
yeah,
detachment. And also, we did a lot of so for those that don't know, we did a lot of fucking just convoys all over the fucking place. And when you find out that you're just fucking transporting toilet paper to Al Hilla and possibly getting blown up for it, it kind of opens your
yeah,
mind like, what the fuck are we doing out here? You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I mean, you guys were out there, and I remember Palfy, he had found an IED off of
yeah,
Irish, right? See,
yeah. Oh,
Palfy and
multiple times.
yeah, Palfy, me and Palfy were in basic together. I love Palfy. Like that
Yeah,
motherfucker will always have a place in my heart no matter what.
yeah.
But yeah, dude. So tell me a bit about your deployment. Like tell the folks out there like your experience. What was your deployment like? Because everybody has a different deployment, or a different experience. And one thing a lot of people don't understand is like it's not like they show in the TV or in the movies where you're constantly in fucking firefights or
Yeah.
constantly getting blown up. It's a threat there, it is. But there's a lot of folks that they don't understand. At least for me, my experience has been that war was 95% boredom and then 5% shit show, like, oh fuck,
Yeah. Yeah.
craziness. So a lot of fools that have podcasts and stuff like that, they're like, SF people or Rangers and all this shit. Us, we're just regular Joes, yo. We are the rest of the crew. So what was your experience like?
Well, I remember, of course, the majority of our missions were out Irish, back and
Mm-hmm.
forth from the Green Zone to BIOP. So that was the majority of our missions, and Yeah, I was the lead gunner, and Palpy was my driver, and we were 4-1. And
Okay.
yeah, there was a few times that it was me, him, or Sergeant Borson. We found some IEDs on Route Irish. There was one time I think it was what they call. Do you remember? I think it was called night sweep. We did a night sweep,
Yeah, when
and
we were
we
on
and
QRF, we had to go
yeah.
and clear Route Irish for the Rhino buses.
So we found, I think, two that night, two IEDs in two different locations.
Damn.
And then when we left that night, one of the exits that we drove past, I guess whoever was out there must have put another IED after we left, because then we heard that another unit got hit by it, like
Whoa.
an hour or 2 hours later.
Yeah, Route Irish was hot, bro.
Yeah, and then I remember, and then there was that time when on the way back to Route Irish, Gunny Hopper, so the
Yeah,
third vehicle, boom, right in front, a bullet right in his window.
I remember that, dude. I remember you could see
Yeah.
the slug where it hit and it just like
Yep.
right into his fucking like that sniper was aiming for his face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember that shit, bro. I mean, it was a trip. We were out there for a full fucking year, and hindsight, it flew by. Like when I think about it, because I mean,
Yeah.
when I think about it, I lived 2.5 years in combat zones. Once in 1 year in Baghdad, 1 year in Mosul, and then another one in Afghanistan. And dude, I think my Mosul one was the worst because I didn't think I was coming back from that one. But I mean, fucking that first deployment that we were on, we were all green cherry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking fresh privates.
Yeah.
Uh, One of the biggest things that stuck with me was when they gave us the little pills, the little pill box that
Yeah.
and I asked Sergeant Juarez because he was my chief. And I asked him like, what are these for? He's like, oh, that's for when you get shot. It'll help you with the bleeding. I'm like, oh, well, oh, okay. Not if I get, so I told him, you mean if we get shot, right? But being that I was the gunner and the lead gunner,
Yeah.
the expectancy was for me to fucking get blown up. Like, was 50-50. Well, like it was a high expectation for me to die. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's fucking crazy, dude. Like, uh-oh. Anyways, so yeah, dude, fucking crazy, dude, fucking crazy. So yeah, and it was a trip scene because we did have a lot of people that were from Halliburton that were contractors,
Yeah.
and they were banking it, bro.
But the thing is when you politically, when you look into it, I mean, that's nothing compared to like what these executives are getting paid, the shareholders are getting paid. And then just to see the amount of money, I'm sure you remember that the amount of money that they would waste over there, and they would only waste it because it's at taxpayer expense.
Did you ever have to do any of the bank runs?
I think we did one. I don't. I don't. Go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking. I remember we had a bird flying to BIOP, and we had to secure the money from the bird and take it to the central bank in Baghdad, bro.
I think we did that one time.
Holy fuck. When you see all these bricks of just cash, and they're talking
Yeah.
about pallets of cash, bro, and you're holding it and you're like, this is how much money here? And hold on, what's up, man? Yeah, are you done? Check if there's any candy left inside the little creature thing. The scarecrow. See inside his pot hand. See if there's any candy in there. Well, just check anyway, please. All right, thank you. Huh? You need me to take your stuff off? All right, come here. So, anyways, so y'all know that this is like fucking shit from home. Come here. All right, so. All right, so sorry about this, y'all. Are you done scaring people for the night then?
Yeah.
All right, so are you gonna be the trick or treater now?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. Say hi to the peoples. Say happy Halloween.
Hello, people from the
Sit-
far, far
Here,
corners
look
of
at
the world.
look in here.
No,
Oh, well, there she is. That's Campos. Say hello.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Campos.
No.
Get out of here. Anyway, so that's my oldest. That's Emily. That's hey, close my door, fool. She's Kowalsk's fucking god. Kowalski is her godfather.
Oh
So
wow.
Yeah, dude. Me and Kowalczyk, we've stayed in touch since, you know what I mean? And Moya. Like I'm glad that we have this because it helps us keep in touch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and you're definitely one of those dudes that we've always wondered, like, whatever happened to Campos? You know, and we're like, Campos, was he that weird dude? Yeah, he was that weird dude. You know what I'm saying? You know, and again, there's no shade, no hate. You know what I'm saying? All
Oh
of us,
yeah, yeah.
you know, we were all like, I'll give you a weird ass motherfucker, Stuck. That
Oh yeah.
motherfucker was weird. But anywho, yeah. So back to the money. We would do the money runs, bro, and so
Yeah.
we had to take all these millions and millions and millions of dollars, and who knows where the fuck it went. You know, like, well, it went to, you know, to the pocket of the politicians out there.
Yeah.
So that's when your eyes started opening, or
I mean, just throughout the entire deployment, just seeing all the involvement of just how much money's involved, and then the oil. It's just, and just and then coming back, and then because when I came back, that's when I got my computer, and my very first computer, and I started to do research and read a lot, and so yeah, it's multiple things.
so what piqued your interest, for example, like because you were a big Ron Paul supporter, right?
Yeah.
So how did that turn
So
about?
so when we came back, we came back December of '06, and so then in '07, after about 2-3 weeks, this is when 2-3 months in '07, that's when a lot of these politicians who wanted to run for president started announcing for the
Mhm.
2008 election. And it was, of course, what was the number one issue at the time? Iraq. That was the number one issue. And so after coming back and I got my computer, I started doing a lot of reading. I started doing a lot of research, especially in the history. Um, you know, I kind of started waking up to a lot of things. But then what really piqued my interest in Ron Paul is like the very first debate, and then also hearing other podcast or radio hosts talk
Mhm.
about, oh, you got to hear about Ron Paul, you got to hear about Ron Paul, and then just doing research on him, just knowing that he's consistent. I mean, he's been in Congress since the '70s,
Mhm.
completely consistent. They call him Doctor No
Doctor
because he
No.
votes on no. Yeah, he votes no on almost everything. But the reason why he votes no on everything is because it's not constitutional. I'm not voting for it.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's really what it's supposed to be about. You have every member of Congress swears an oath, just like we did. And if there's anything that gets put on the floor of Congress that is outside of that, you should be voting no against it.
Mhm.
Um,
100%.
yeah, and it's really sad that he's the only that during those time periods that he's the only one that stood up like that. And so when he was running, he was just talking about so much stuff that I was learning, but there's so much stuff I agreed with, and then the things I was learning about, like the Federal Reserve and
Mhm.
central banking and money and all that stuff, it started to get me to start going, looking into it and start doing my research.
You know what's crazy is how they made him look like he was a fool. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And they hijacked the fucking Tea Party from him because the Tea Party
Oh yeah.
came from him. It was all
Yep.
Ron Paul. And then what does the fucking right wing do? Oh, thanks, Ron Paul, you crazy motherfucker. And then they just
Yep.
stole it away from him. And everything that it was supposed to be was pretty much fucking whitewashed or something. It was just taken away,
Yeah.
dude. And it sucks. And we should have listened to you back then, bro. And you were big into Alex Jones too, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I found out about Ron Paul was
See,
Alex Jones.
and trust me, I'm a big conspiracy guy. Conspiracy
Yeah. Oh
theory. I,
yeah.
I became one because in Iraq we had the Haji shop, and they used to sell the videos there, right? And I
Yeah.
remember there was a movie, bro. There was a fucking movie because believe it or not, Kowalczyk was into fucking into conspiracy.
Yeah.
So he was big into Alex Jones. And he was like, man, you got to see Prison Planet and you got to see this and that. And that's so long story short, I picked up a movie. I thought it was Flight 97 or something like that. Like it was one of
Yeah.
those movies from Haji Shop, and I put it in. And no, it was a fucking conspiracy theory fucking movie. And it
Yeah.
was talking about all like the insider jobs of 9/11 and this. And I'm like, it just started opening my fucking eyes up, bro. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna say this. I have more questions than assurance that it wasn't an inside job.
Yeah.
For not, what happened in 9/11, because there's no way in hell to this date that you will convince me that an airplane struck the Pentagon. It's just not gonna fucking happen, bro. I've seen that video 1,000 fucking times of the video of the plane, quote unquote, striking the fucking the Pentagon. There's no way in hell that there's an airplane there at all, bro.
Yeah, and then you have Building 7. That's the other big one for me.
Oh yeah, the one that got fucking pulled.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, sorry, I ran off on a tangent there. So continue. So Ron Paul, and he came to visit to the Fort Hood area. Is that what happened?
So he went to once I started really getting involved with this stuff. It was like I remember May of 2007, and so then he had his actually his very first political fundraiser at the Texas History Museum in Austin.
Okay.
And so then I went down there, and of course in uniform. I didn't know I was supposed to do that, but went down there, and but the cool thing was, man, everybody treated me like a rock star. And of course I told everybody I just came back from Iraq, and you got to remember that was the number one issue at the time.
However, let's put this out there as well. Not only did he show up in uniform to a political rally, he was filmed, all right, in uniform. So there's pictures of you, or I don't know if it was on CNN or something, where you're in uniform, and we're like, what the fuck is he doing? Oh my God, dude. But I mean, yeah, lesson learned, it was just dumb shit that you do. But like you said, hindsight being 2020 again, Iraq was pointless. It really was pointless. Would I still do it again knowing what I know? Yes, because I will not trade all the experiences that I had, which formed me into who I am now.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Because, like the stuff that we're talking about right now, I wouldn't know this stuff if it wasn't for that experience.
So, so that shaped your political views on that. Tell me about, so once you got back, you got out in 2007 from active duty then, right?
Yeah. So October of 2007, I got out, and then I got a job in the oil field. And so then I ended up having to move like west of Fort Worth, and I was working in the oil field up there, and then I made even more friends because I got heavily involved. I mean, even before I got up, but especially once I got out, I got heavily involved in the campaign.
Oh yeah.
And so with that said, I mean, I met all kinds of people all over Texas. And it was a beautiful thing because just, like you get to actually meet people who you can actually agree with. Whereas like the majority of people who's watching Fox News and CNN and MSNBC, their minds are just trapped into that. And then like all these people, and so then you're meeting all these people who actually have did the reading, did the research, actually understand what's going on, why we need to stop the things that we do, what's wrong with our country. And so just the fact that I got to meet with all these people all over the state and even elsewhere, it was awesome.
That's great, man. I mean, honestly, I think where do you live at now? Oh, you're still you're in Nebraska now, right?
Yeah, Iowa, next to Nebraska.
Iowa. Okay. That's where you're at now, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, I think it's pretty cool how you stayed involved in it. You stay true to your nature as far as fucking. I do agree with you as far as motherfuckers that watch Fox News, MSNBC. 90% of them, I would say, already have their mind made up, and they're not. They're just getting on. They just want to talk to people to argue with them, versus having a discussion. Because usually a debate, what I've realized is people already have their minds made up. You're just trying to convince the other people that are watching. You know what I'm saying? So when I talk with people, I already know, like, for example, I'll bring out Hunt. Hunt already has a point of view that he's stuck on and that he's not going to change, no matter how much, I try to discuss it with him, and vice versa. He knows that I have my point of view. So when we discuss things, it's not to convince each other of our point of views, is to open the eyes of those that are listening, if that makes sense, because I mean, if not, what it turns into is just a shit show where everybody's it goes from starting civil, and then it turns into like, oh, you're a retard, or you're fucking stupid, or you're I mean, both wings are on the same fucking bird, and it's taking a huge shit on us at the end of the day.
And that's And
what
so
do you
I
think?
usually go ahead.
No, you got to go ahead.
You're gonna ask me, what do I think about?
Oh, I was gonna say, what do you think about why there is no third party within our system.
I get. I'll try to cut that out. I'll try to cut that as short as I can because I go all day with that. Here's what it comes down to. There's unlimited. I don't know if you're familiar with the 2010 Supreme Court case, Citizens United.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So the Supreme Court ruled, and it even goes further, but that's the most recent one.
Okay.
Basically, they ruled that corporations or artificial entities have the First Amendment right or free speech, which means they can unlimitedly get involved and fund campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as long as that exists, we're going to have a two-party system because what's going to happen is the special interests are always going to consolidate on one side, and the special interest of money is going to consolidate to the other side. And so we're never until we have a constitutional amendment that defines what corporate personhood is.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say corporate personhood, I'm talking about artificial entities, whether that be unions, corporations, business corporations, nonprofits, anything that's an artificial entity. We need a constitutional amendment to define that the Bill of Rights is only there for human beings,
Right.
not for them, because they're not human beings. So therefore, their rights are not inherent or unalienable, like it says in the Declaration of Independence, because they're not a creation of nature. They're not a creation of God. They're a creation of man. They're a creation of the state. And so, as long as you have the ability, as long as they exist and have the ability to unlimitedly fund campaigns, we are always going to have this two-party system.
And I think that's one of the biggest fucking detractions, or not detractions. That's one of the biggest fuck ups that we have within our country is just this two-party system, because it's always like South Park said it, man. It's a giant douche or a turd sandwich.
And,
And
then here's something else with that. When you look at the political system that we live in, so when you have all this money consolidated into two parties, that creates a career structure or career path for people to get involved in politics and to be involved. And that's why people like Ron Paul or people like currently like Robert Kennedy are they're never going to get any traction from the media. They're always going to be looked down upon by the establishment of their own party because they're outside of that establishment. They're outside of that career path. Just like a good example is, I don't know how much you know about the military industrial complex, but
I've actually wanted to talk about that so much, bro. So explain to the people, what is the military industrial complex? Because it was brought up by Eisenhower, wasn't it?
Yes. So the military industrial complex actually existed before that, but Eisenhower in his speech created that phase. He coined it. For those of you who don't know too much about history, he was the Allied Commander General in the European theater. Then became our president. So him just being a general, he understood just firsthand the influence of corporate power within funding for lobbying government funding for arms.
Right.
But if there's one book, I have a book right here, I recommend it. There's one book I strongly recommend people read. It's called War is a Racket by General Smedley Butler.
Okay.
He is a World War I veteran, has 2 congressional medals of honor, two of them. Yeah, he's one of the most highest decorated service members in U.S. history. He wrote this book. It's not that small. It's called War is a Racket because he talks about how much money is made off war. And it's ridiculous. And even companies that are not directly involved into the military industrial complex will make money. Like, for example, Coca-Cola, Gatorade, Under Armour, anybody that's providing, any kind of supply to the military, they're going to make big bucks off of it. And so there is an incentive for these people to pay for lobbyists or the lobby themselves, Congress, for us to have perpetual war. There is an economic incentive to have that. If you've noticed, since World War II, we've basically been in a war every 15, 20 years, we're in a war. Because there is an economic incentive to have this because there's money and power to be made.
I believe that we should have like a warrior class within our country. And because I'm just that type of motherfucker. Send me, I'm the one. But send me for something that is gonna be valid. I get it. When we sign up to go wherever the fuck they send us. It is what it is. I wanted to go to Iraq because that's just what I wanted to do. I wanted to go out there. I wanted to blow shit up. I wanted to kill motherfuckers. That's what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? I wasn't gonna join and then be like, oh, boo hoo hoo, I don't want to go. Nah, that ain't me, chief. But with that, what I've learned from is I've been called an isolationist for this, but
Me, go ahead.
I believe that we should worry about us, you know, but no,
Eh,
we got to worry about our allies. We got to worry about, for example, what's going on with Ukraine right now.
yeah,
That's fuck
and
that.
Israel.
I hate the fact that motherfuckers are saying something along the lines of oh well, we're trying to stop the Russians over there so that doesn't come over here. Well, Ukraine is
That's
not just one
that's
fucking
bullshit.
country. It's one
That's
country, but is attached to
yeah,
the rest of fucking Europe. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So,
yeah,
and by the time they get done with that, I mean they got to cross this huge thing called the ocean.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So let's be realistic. We're just having a proxy war. It's kind of like the whole Iran
yeah.
Contra all over again. And I mean, I'm not well versed in it, but I kind of put the two together.
Well, and then something you want to bring up military industrial complex. I mean, right now, even though we're not, you talk about proxy war, we're giving them arms. We're also giving
Mm-hmm.
them up to date arms, and so there's a lot of arms that we have new stuff that's being tested right now that our generals and our military is looking at, and they love to see that war is happening so that these new artillery shells, new planes, whatever that's new is being
Mm-hmm.
tested on the battleground right now.
Bro, I tripped out because when I heard that we're going to give the Ukrainians artillery, pieces, I figured, okay,
Yeah,
they'll probably give them like the 19 or 8 because that's
yeah,
the old generation, right? Or
yeah,
we'll give them some self-propelled hobbits or some Alpha Sixes or something. Some Alpha Fives. No, these motherfuckers are getting 777s, bro.
oh yeah,
It's
oh
like,
yeah,
wait a minute, that's our technology that they're getting. That's our new shit. I'm sure
yeah,
they got more advanced, but still,
yeah,
bro, where are we? And then I love the whole like, oh, it's a loan. These motherfuckers ain't ever gonna pay us back.
no,
All it is, we're being an imperialistic fucking a
yeah,
country. We're just, yeah, you know how they're gonna pay us back? We're gonna go ahead and build a fucking um a base around there.
yeah. There
That's
you
why they're gonna
go.
pay us.
Um, Something I want to interject in is because
Mm-hmm.
I've been called multiple times isolationist, and a term that I like to use when people say that is I say, well, I'm not an isolationist, I'm a non-interventionist. There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference because I'm not isolating. I want trade. I want peace. I want trade with people. I want us to, trade with nations. I want even the bad nations because when we trade with them and we influence them with some of our culture, you know what? Some of that bad stuff starts going away. And so I
Exactly.
want peace and trade with everybody. So I'm not an isolationist. I'm a non-interventionist.
We're just a big fucking bully, bro. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
we're the big bullies, and I love America. I love it. I love my country. I hate my government, but I love
Oh
my
yeah.
fucking country, and
Absolutely.
there's so much stuff here. The only thing that sucks, you know why it sucks buying shit made in America? Because it costs a nut and a half, bro.
Yeah.
No matter how much I try to support, but it costs a nut and a half. You know, when well, another thing is, we, this whole China shit. We talk so much shit about China, yet we're borrowing our money from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
As people say, make it make sense, bro. It's so fucking stupid, and it bugs me. Now we got this whole thing going on with Israel, you know, and apparently, if you're pro Palestine, you're an anti-Semite. No, I'm
Yeah.
not anti-Semitic. I'm not Islamophobic. I just think that the Palestinians, it used to be their fucking country. Everybody used to live there
Yeah.
happily.
Yeah.
Palestinians, Muslims, Christians, all of them lived there happily. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden they were like, yeah, now you guys go here in this little strip of land. It's an open air fucking prison. We'll call it, the Gaza Strip. And y'all other motherfuckers will be here on the west bank of the Jordan. Y'all stay right there. And we're gonna have our thumb over your asses. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not justifying any kind of motherfucking violence towards fucking civilians at all.
Absolutely.
However, there comes a point in time where motherfuckers are going to revolt and rebel.
Yeah. And
And
that's
that
yeah.
it's
Well,
go ahead.
and I mean, and the unfortunate thing is that there's a big biasness with our mainstream media
Mm-hmm.
because you can tell even now they report with all the stuff that's going on right now, they report it way differently. So, like for example, anytime when there's a couple Israeli deaths, they'll report it as Israeli deaths. And
Mm-hmm.
then when let's say, like the other day, 50 Palestinians got killed, and they report it as 50 civilians were killed by a bomb that dropped.
Right.
So it's like, okay, why can't you treat it the same way? Why can't you identify that 50 Palestinians were killed by a bomb that was dropped by the Israelis? But then when it happens with the Palestinians, you want to report it that, oh, they killed 10 Israelis,
Right.
civilians who died. Huge bias.
Right. And again, I mean, look, I'm not justifying any kind of civilian or hostage taking or anything of that sort. I think that war should be done by two warring factions and try to minimize the collateral damage as much as possible.
Oh yeah,
But if you look at Gaza, it's bro, I mean, I think of it as almost like what's that stupid movie with that fine ass bitch with the bow and arrow? Um, The Hunger Games, bro. You
oh
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's almost like that, man. I mean, it's just horrible
I
living.
mean, they live on. They live. There's a wall. They're surrounded and encapsulated into a wall.
Hmm. And I mean, it used to be open territory for everyone until they made it an
Yeah,
Israeli state, right? You know, why is it that you and I can have conversations like this, but other people can't seem to have these conversations
yeah,
without, is it because, we don't have any special interest in it? Because America's biggest interest is, having a place to launch attacks from in the Middle East.
yeah.
So that's my thought, at least.
Well, I mean, it's slightly complicated. Slightly. I don't think it's really when you really look into it, it's not too complicated. I mean, I'll give you another recommendation. I think this is probably one of the best non-bias documentaries out there. It's by PBS. It's called
Okay.
1913 Seeds of Conflict. It
Okay.
basically talks about how what's going on right now between the Palestinians and Israelis, how it all started.
Okay.
I recommend that strongly to people who want to know more about this or just how it all started.
Because
But
yeah, I've been doing a lot of
but
my research on YouTube, honestly.
yeah, and that's to me that's fair. It's from PBS. You know, they're pretty mainstream,
Hmm.
and I've seen it myself. It's very fair. They're not picking sides. They just talk about the history. They don't
Right.
get any conspiracy theories. They just talk about the history. But it's very important to understand that because again, you know, I'm not picking sides, but I will say that I do have a little bit of my sympathies for the Palestinians because these are people who've been there and lived there for hundreds of years. And then you have another group of people who just came in and now just taking things over, and they're going to continue to take things. They're going to their goal, the Zionist goal, is to. I mean, I forgot the map, but it's big. With the state of Israel now, it's bigger than that. That's their Zionist goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking crazy. You guys need to see anything like what he's saying right now, like that seeds shit that he just put up there. Make sure y'all check that out because I'm telling you, I went on YouTube and just started looking up why is there conflict, and then when I started seeing this whole like migration, of course, okay, let the Jews come to the Holy Land, got it. You know, yes, biblically, it's Israel, right? Fine, got it. But why was it that they were all living in peace up until there was this huge migration, and then motherfuckers were like, "Oh, yeah, y'all belong here. Get away from us here. This is our holy land." But yet, our whole world is based like that because look what happened with the Indians. You put it up there on the Facebook as well. You know what I'm saying? Palpy had put it up there.
Yeah.
And it's the truth, bro. All right, we got 1 minute left. We're gonna go ahead and cut out right now, and then I'll shoot you the next link, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up on that one. We're gonna continue talking with the politics because I dig this conversation. Right, once again, cool thank y'all for dealing with the quick pause on your end. For us, it's been 10 minutes, but check it out. So we done a little bit of talking about his pre-military. We did some talking about the deployment and how he started dabbling into the politics and stuff like that. We talked about the military industrial complex, which I I get, but I don't get. You know what I'm saying? But now I'll open it up to you, man. Like, what is on Campos's mind? Oh, let me before we get there. So you did active duty, then you went to National Guard, right?
Yeah.
Did you stay in your MOS as National Guard?
Yeah, I had to. So
Oh,
quick. So after active went working in the oil field, then the recession hit,
mm-hmm.
moved back home up here while the recession was going on, went to school, finished school, got my associates, and I got my bachelor's all in accounting. And then I
Awesome.
was going to work on a master's degree. and then I actually was an ROTC at Creighton University for 3 months. And then I ended up dropping that because because it was just, I couldn't, if I was working on a bachelor's degree and then ROTC, I could do it. But on the master's level, no way, no way. And so I ended up dropping out of that, my third semester. And so then I went into the guard because they helped out pay some of my debt off. And so I did that for 5 years. But the thing is, I was going to do 11 Charlie mortars because that's in the town I live in.
Okay.
But then my recruiter gets back to me and he says, "Well, if you want the army to pay some of your debt off, you need to stay with your MOS." So I'm like, "Okay, so where's that at?" And he's like, "It's in a town called Esterville, Iowa." Well, where's that at? And he said, "Well, just put the bottom left tip of a triangle and the right tip of the triangle of Des Moines, put that on Des Moines and on Council Bluffs, and then the top of it is Esterville." So we're talking 3.5 hours away.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so that was the drive I had to make there and back once a month.
Now, what do you guys normally do on it? Like,
So basically,
in
it's called
National Guard.
So it's basically called drill. So then every month you go out there. You either get there Friday night or you get there Saturday morning. And then you have drill all day Saturday, drill all day Sunday. Sometimes you're learning stuff on the gun. Sometimes they have you do other stuff like you're doing your medical stuff for that weekend. They have you do that. Sometimes they'll have you do some kind of training. Sometimes it might be a special 3-day training, and they'll send you out to Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. You got to go out the firing range, stuff like that. So like you're doing something. And then of course in the summertime there's 2 weeks. There's 2 full weeks, and that's basically like that's your annual training. That's basically going out to the field, which
Okay.
I hate that, but
Why is that?
well, I always hated the field. I always tell people I'd rather go back to Iraq for 2 weeks than go out to the field. I hate it. 2 weeks no shower, hate it.
Bro, I mean, well, it's kind of in the MOS that we chose. It's field artillery.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
oh, dude, so that's crazy, man. So you did all that time, you got out. Have you had any when you got out, as you transitioned out to the civilian sector? Um, was there anything that you brought with you from the military that helped you in the civilian sector? And mainly I asked because I mean you went fresh out of fucking high school then, right? Into the military. So you
Yeah.
didn't have any civilian work experience.
I mean, just look like busting tables and then working at fast food. That's about
Right.
it.
So I mean, were there any experiences that you had coming out of the military and going into the civilian sector, finding yourself like a fish out of water, or did you have like a smooth transition back in?
So one thing I'm going to say is working in the oil field. If I wasn't in the army active duty before going to the oil field, there's no way I would have been able to do that.
Hmm.
You're working. Oh my goodness. You're working 80 hours a week. Getting paid hourly,
Oh
and
shit.
it is some hard ass labor. And if I didn't have the discipline and the drive and also the strength that I got from the army, I don't think I would have done it because it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of work, man.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that a lot of cats, they come out and back then because the oil field was booming, they would go to the patch and make bank. Like motherfuckers that were living like in different states would fly in
Yep.
and then to go work like 2-3 weeks and then fly back home and be off for like a week or two. That's just
Yep.
how much they were banking, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But like you
Yeah.
said, it's rough ass fucking work though too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And the
get it.
thing is I did it in '07, and then I did it again in 2008, 18 to 2019.
Mhm.
And because of the technology changing, it's actually even more work now than it was back then.
Oh, word.
Because because now they got the technology where they can hook more frac pumps up to a well, whereas before they didn't. And so it's just even more work on the oil hands.
It looks like the guys that do the easiest job are the truck drivers, bro. All they do is just sit there
Yeah. Yeah.
and then just drive from
Yeah.
point A to point B. I mean, I couldn't see myself. Dowden, I know Dowden did oil field work for a while, out in Oklahoma. So but now he does his own thing now. He ended up quitting the oil field because it was starting to slow down. like with everything, you know, it has its booms. So yeah, dude. So tell me, what do you do now? Like, I mean, how do you? Well, I mean, again, it doesn't seem like you had any too much trouble transitioning back to the civilian sector. You know, how did you feel being that old going back to school? How was that? Was there any like or was
I
it
wasn't.
online?
It was 50-50. Really wasn't too old. I mean, I was still in my 20s. I probably felt more old going into the guard
Mm,
than I did because I was a specialist, and then my final rank was corporal. Um,
okay.
and so like when I was new to the unit, I'm with guys that are like, fresh out of high school or in college, and I'm like hitting 30. And like
Right.
that's probably the only time I really felt old was during that time.
What's the discipline like in the guard versus the active?
Oh man, dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, 60% of us wouldn't be able to make it on PT and active duty.
No shit.
Yeah, I mean, we had guys just like you can just tell looking at them. Oh, they would not make it in a week active duty with PT.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you,
Yeah,
how do you view the military now that you're out and with the experiences you had? How do you view has your view in the military changed at all? Like with the new generation of soldiering, like we always now know we're like people like me are called vet bros because I believe in
yeah,
the standards that we have from back in the day when we still wore BDUs.
yep,
Um,
yep.
so I mean, what do you think? Like, should the military be evolving like that? I'll give you my biggest pet peeve: females on the gun line. I don't think that should
Yeah.
be there at all. But
Yep.
anyways,
We got the last year I was in, our battery got our first FDC female, and then the unit, and she was in Charlie. I was in Alpha Battery. She was in Charlie Battery. Probably about 3 months before I got out, we got our very first 13 vote female, and I was like, "What?"
mm,
And but the thing is, of course, this was 105
mm-hmm,
millimeter. Is the guns I was on, and so
right.
I'm thinking to myself, how would she be able to do 155 Paladin as the
Mm-hmm.
number one person, number one
Fuck
man? How
that.
would she be able to do? How's that going to work? Or let's not say that. Let's say how about humping rounds in a cat?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that was when I got out. So yeah, I do look at it different in regards to what it's changed to. Yeah, I am looking at it differently.
Yeah, I don't. I know that there's women that can do it. I know because I had a female chief over here on her before, and she could sling fucking rounds with the best of them. Like, dude, she's a fucking beast. She's a six
Fit
foot beast. She was on 155.
155.
Yeah, she was on Paladin.
Okay,
So she could sling
okay,
those. I've seen videos of her slinging those fucking rounds. Like, oh, out. She could do it with the best of them. But
yeah.
again, I don't just see it as that. I also see it as the problems that come in with the EO complaints, the sharp cases. It's not worth it, you know. I'm sorry,
Well,
it's just me. I knew that there was going to be sharp cases, and there sure as fuck are. But yeah,
and something else. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, man. This is your time. What do you want to talk
So,
about?
so to add on to that, so you know how I told you I'm in the history. So there's a channel called World War II Week by Week,
Hmm.
and it's all I recommend it to anybody. They cover what happened in the war this week, this time of the year, back in, and they're right now in 1944,
Okay,
and they're going to keep doing it every week until 45. So, and between every Saturday when they have these episodes that are like 20 minutes long, they have specials.
okay.
They recently did a special on basically rapes that happened during World War II.
Hmm.
Um, whether it was in the Axis or whether it was the Axis or the Allies. And when a person watches that, I just don't understand how after watching that you can want females being on the front lines
Right.
because in war, you know, you and I we get captured as a prisoner of war. That's us. We're probably worst things will happen. They'll probably beat us to death.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be different.
Hmm. I mean, and I'm not trying to take anything away from females. There are some female fucking badasses out there, like in the war in El Salvador with the guerrillas. you know, they had fucking badass females out there, AK-47s out there, you know, humping and killing motherfuckers. But again, you know, here in the States, it's a different culture, I think, because you know,
Well,
you look at the IDF, you know, in
it's
Israel.
segregated. Yeah, and it's segregated.
What do you mean it's segregated?
So, like, whether it's in the IDF or whether it's like in the Russian army, they have females in the military, but it's segregated. There's certain things that they can only do, or if they are fighting the front lines, they got to be they got to be in a unit with only females in it.
Really? So it's not integrated as far as
Yeah,
like male and female. They have all female units.
not like yeah stuff like yeah, like you can even see it in some of the parades, like in some of the parades that like Russia has in
Mm-hmm.
Moscow. You'll see it like looking on YouTube. You'll see a whole battalion of females all wearing the same outfit, marching down.
Oh shit. See, now that was what I had thought up
Yeah,
of back in. That's what I was like. You know, they're
China,
gonna have.
China,
Mm-hmm.
China, North Korea, same thing, segregated.
See, and it just, I think that that's the way it should have been. Like, if, but then they're like, oh, we're equal, and no, 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 no. I hate that shit.
Yeah,
So anyway, let
yeah.
me pick your brain, Campos. What's on your mind, brother? What is on
Uh,
your mind?
I can talk politics all day, man. And
Well,
you give me
talk
an
to me.
issue, let's hit it.
No, you talk to me, baby. What do you want to discuss, man? What do you think is
All
an
right,
issue
let's.
that is
All
not
right,
being
well,
discussed enough?
okay. Well, let me just go back a little bit to the Israel thing.
Sure.
So for all the listeners out there, here's my thing: is this we need to be able to differentiate that there's a difference between Zionism and Judaism. Okay,
Mhm.
Zionism is a political ideology. Judaism is an actual religion. And when it comes to this fight that's been going on for almost it's about 80 years now, the fight is between the Zionists and the Palestinian people. It's not a fight between Islam and Judaism. And I think that's what people get mixed up about because a lot of people that are within the Palestinian community, a lot of them are Christians.
Mhm.
There's some very few Jews. They're not all Muslim.
Mhm.
And so that's really what it comes down to is the Palestinians fighting Zionism.
Campos. I'll get with you afterwards. Almost done. Sorry, go ahead, man. It's the thing about podcasting at home,
But
bro. So, well, for those that
but
don't know, what exactly is Zionism?
so Zionism is a political ideology that came out of Europe with from the Jewish community. Doesn't mean that all Jews believe in it, but it came from the Jewish community in the late 1800s. Um, and it's basically like a Jewish state, Jewish nationalist ideology or Jewish state,
Mm-hmm.
which they has accomplished the state part, but they haven't accomplished what they fully want. And that's really what it comes down to. Now, there's different levels of it depending on who you talk to, but for the most part, that's really what it is.
Hmm. I mean, so basically, it's almost like a right wing, a far right wing of the Jewish sect or the Jewish
Yeah,
religion. So, I mean, it's just
yeah,
I'm just tired of it, bro. I honestly don't watch the news anymore simply because it's just full of shit. And I was
yeah.
doing sometimes like they say, you know, ignorance is bliss. I was so happy without watching the news. And the
Oh yeah,
one fucking time that I'm just skipping through shit on TV, and it's when McCarthy got booted. And I'm like, are you fucking
oh
serious?
yeah,
And then from there, what happens that weekend? Fucking that bullshit out there in Israel. I'm like, oh, great. So I get sucked in like
oh
a
yeah,
sucker, you know? And it's just, again, it's
yeah,
just so stupid. Then I mean, Trump has been in this living rent free in all these people's head since 2020. You know, it's like, dude, I honestly, I want him to win in 2024 just because it was fucking comical. And I'll always say my
yeah,
401k looked really good during his presidency. If it wasn't for the way that COVID, you know, how he handled COVID, he would have won a
yeah,
re-election.
yeah.
What are your
Oh
thoughts
yeah.
on the whole January
Um,
6th thing?
um, there's some people out that say there's some theory to it. Um, I mean, when you look at it, it was a big rally.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the people at that rally did not participate in it. It was basically a small percentage of people at the rally that basically participated in this whole taking of the Capitol. And really, since then, almost probably, if not 100%, at least 95% of the people have been, uh, put in jail because of it. Um,
I just find it.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I just go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I just find it funny how they make it seem like it was a coup. You know, like come on, bro. There was not a
Yeah,
fucking coup there.
that's
They
come
weren't
on.
gonna kill
Yeah.
nobody. They were in there. You see these motherfuckers walking around. Yes, were there idiots that were doing stupid things? Yes. But I saw more during the fucking riots of the Black Lives Matter riots throughout all the major cities
Oh yeah.
than January 6th. So now, as a joke, I say, oh, you mean Patriots Day? That's what I've been calling it, or Freedom Day. You know what I'm saying? Just for fucking shits and giggles.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid, man. I think it oh god. What I want to know, when did being American, being and or considering yourself an American, when did that become something negative? You know what I mean? It's like, fuck, I thought it was cool to be proud to be an American, you know? Now it's like, no, it's so fucking confusing, man. I don't know. I
Well,
don't know.
I think things have really. I mean, they've been getting worse over the years, but I think really things really started getting for the worse once Bush got in there and once this whole war on terrorism started.
Mm,
Um, and I think since then we've been going downhill. And I think Trump had tried to do some good. I mean, I'm not a Trump supporter, although there's a lot of things I do like about Trump, and
mm-hmm.
there's are some things I disagree with him on. But I do think Trump was trying to do some good. But again, he's a threat to the powers that be. He
Mm-hmm.
was going against Neo Conenda. That's where the money's at. And so you have people within his own party fighting against them, and then you got everybody in the Democrat Party. And then now I remember, the time periods when we were in Iraq. I remember the neocons were all Republican Party, and now it seems like the majority of them are now switching to the Democrat side. So yeah, it's interesting.
So, during this next election cycle, uh, who do you think is going to pop up third party wise? RFK, I think, is going to go third party, right?
Yeah, he is third party. He announced a couple weeks ago, so he's no longer a Democrat. He's running independent, and primarily that's because he was running as a Democrat, and the Democrat Party is refusing for him as well as Marianne Williamson to debate Biden, and Biden's refusing to debate him. And so when you push people and then to top it off, Iowa is usually the first caucus state in the nation, and then New Hampshire
Mm-hmm.
is the first primary state.
Right.
And the Democrat Party has taken that away from both of them just because they know RFK would probably win those two states and make Biden look stupid. And
Exactly.
so with them doing both those things, it's put RFK in a position where he has to run independent now.
You know what trips me out here is like I was a big Tulsi supporter, and I still am. I love me some Tulsi Gabbard, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
the
She's
Democratic
hot too.
Party, dude, the DNC, they had this fucking election in a bag. They had everything they needed: a minority, a female, a veteran,
Yep.
young, speaks very well. They had it. It
Yeah.
was just
Good
gifted to
looking.
them.
Good looking.
Yeah, bro. All
Yeah.
of that shit counts. And what happens? Because she spoke about what happened with Bernie during the last election cycle with fucking with they buried her.
Hillary.
Yeah, dude. And
Yeah.
Hillary, because she was supposed to be like the next golden fucking star from there. But when she went against Hillary, they fucking
Yeah.
call her a fucking Russian Trojan horse and a Russian acid. Like, are you
Yeah.
serious? This bitch is a fucking
Yeah.
she was a major or a captain at the
But
time, I want to say. But it's so stupid, or a major at the time.
she's a
Either
colonel.
way.
She's a colonel now.
Dude,
She's a colonel now.
the way she took down fucking Kamala during the goddamn debates, I was so
Oh
happy,
yeah.
bro.
Oh
And then, like, she denounced
yeah.
she got rid of the fucking DNC, or she got out of the Democratic Party. I would love to see her on
Yeah.
a ticket with fucking with Trump. You know what I'm saying? I really would, because
All
I
right.
think
Okay.
that would be a good
Yeah.
ticket. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know who Trump's gonna have as a running mate, but goddamn, it's gonna be fucking epic. The debates are gonna be fucking epic, bro. I could already
I
see him
mean,
up
well,
there
we'll
with
see. I mean,
Joe.
I would. Well, we'll see what happens. I would love to see if RFK can get enough traction to see him, Trump, and Biden all three up there. Oh my goodness.
But who do you think that the RFK would pull the votes from?
It's kind of hard. I'm gonna say maybe. See, it's good. It's going as of right now. It's going back and forth
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of people on within the Republican side who want who people like me who supported Ron Paul and probably
Mm-hmm.
Tulsi Gabbard would love to support uh, RFK, but I think people like us also know the reality of things. I
Mm-hmm.
think at the end of the day, I think he'll probably form more votes from Biden just because of his name and that he's former Democrat.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I mean, to me, it's just why did they do Bernie like that? I would prefer Bernie over fucking Biden. Biden is just a puppet, bro. Like he's literally just a
Yeah,
fucking puppet. He doesn't even know where he's at half the time.
yeah, falling down, and he's even made comments when the microphone's on. He's making comments like, "Well, they told me that I'm not supposed to say this, and they told me that I can't talk about this. You're the
Mm-hmm.
president. Who the fuck tells you to
Come
fucking not to
on,
talk about
man.
anything?"
Oh man, dude, it's just it. I just think it's fucking retarded to me. You know, like there should be honestly a cap at how old you can be to be a president, and I think the age of 60, 62 tops to be a president, because that way, if you knock out 8 years, you're retired at 70 and you're done.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That's the age of retirement now,
yeah,
right? They want you to retire at like
yeah,
72.
yeah.
So I figure fucking
Basically,
hmm?
yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think 62 is the cutoff for you to run for your first election. And that way, if you get elected and you do 2 terms, you'll be out by 70. Done. I'm tired of all these fucking old people. There need to be goddamn limits on how
Yeah,
long you're a
it's
senator, how long you're a congressman. Because, like you said, it's just become something like a what was it that
it's
you
a
had
career
mentioned before?
path.
Yeah, career path, bro. I mean, these motherfuckers are living lavish because they get paid on
And,
the side.
and yeah, and the founders talked about that. There's writings from the founders. They talked about that. That's one of the fears that they had is that we would have a society where, you have people going to the government making this a career.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's what's happened. But like I said, that's not going to change until we get the money out, until we get the special interests out. Um, then that's when that'll change.
What
But
do you
more people have to wake up.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen, bro. I mean, what do you think about do you think we're actually gonna go to one to like a Bitcoin or some kind of cryptocurrency? Do you think that's gonna happen?
I hope not. So I've given presentations on the concept of money and also central bank.
Okay.
So where I come from is I will always oppose any form of money that is man-made,
Okay.
because regardless of whether it's created privately or it's created publicly, if you allow man to have the ability to create money out of thin air, you're allowing them to control the inflation and deflation, the value of that thereof. Um, so whether that be Bitcoin, let's say if you saved up and you have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin in the bank, and then they just start pumping more Bitcoin into the currency or into the economy. Well, now
Mm-hmm.
all that money you saved and worked hard for is worth less. So what I advocate is pretty simple. Let's go back to the Constitution. Constitution says only gold and silver, and we should go back to that.
Yeah. I mean, thanks, Nixon. you know,
Yeah,
taking out the gold standard from there, like
yeah,
when
yeah.
our
Well, Nixon, but first FDR, because it was before FDR, we as individual people were still using it.
okay.
Nixon took basically FDR took us off that, and then Nixon's the one who the government was still trading when the government had to do deals and trade. They had to do it still with the precious metals. Nixon took us
Oh,
off that. Yeah,
gotcha.
and the reason why he took us off that, and the reason why he took us off that is because all the debt that was accumulated from Vietnam.
Of course. God damn, dude. I need to have you back on here so we can have a whole fucking conversation on just the military industrial complex, because I think we barely fucking took a jab at the top of it but didn't really delve deep into it. So Campos, I'm gonna want you again, and we got to set up a date,
Absolutely.
and I would definitely just the whole podcast episode will be about the military industrial complex. I want to understand it more. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of us that have heard that terminology, have heard but don't I'll speak for myself. I don't fully grasp it. You know what I mean? I know that it's a way to make money out of it, and I know it's like Boeing. It's like fucking Raytheon, and it's going to read a book called "War Is a Racket."
War is a racket. Yeah.
So, dude, I really appreciate you being here with me today. My family's home now, so I do have to wrap this one up. Um,
Absolutely.
we'll keep in touch. And this will be dropping on Thursday. So, you mind if I tag you on it once it comes out? So
Absolutely.
perfect. And then
Absolutely.
we'll definitely keep in contact because I want to have you on again. And I'm sure that there's going to be others that would definitely want to have a discussion with you too, because this was really one of my podcasts that I've enjoyed like learning from. You know what I'm saying? So, because
Yeah.
honestly, I'm telling you, the perception that I remember of you was the oddball who lived in the barracks, who had a huge fucking crush on Hillary Duff. You know, and
You
was
remember my poster in the barracks room?
exactly, bro. No, but I mean, and you know, and then also we remember you being the political guy, the Ron Paul guy. So, you know, a lot of the things that happened back then, you know, shit. If we only listened a little bit more clear, because I became a huge Ron Paul supporter, shit, when he ran last time, and that was a shit show. But hey,
2012.
yeah, Ron Paul 2012, baby, but didn't work out that well. So, but hey, I do appreciate you here, man. We definitely got to keep in touch again. I do want to do this. We'll definitely have to link back up. All right, brother. Any shout outs
All
you'd
right,
like to
man. It
give
was all
before
good, man.
we
Good.
call it a day?
Not really, man. I just want to say that it was good to see you again, Lopez. It's been years, and yeah, I definitely look forward to talking again.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I'm sure a lot of folks gonna be like, "Holy shit, Campbell's done changed." It's fucking awesome, man. I mean, I just think about it like I'm thinking about it right now. Like, man, there's a lot of drunk conversations that I could have had with you back then. You know what I'm saying? But then again, you were still in
I,
that
I was
you were
I
still
was learning
young.
too.
Yeah, you were still
Yeah.
really young, and I was already fucking damn near 30. So I was too busy getting drunk anyway. But all right, Campos, I appreciate you, brother. You have yourself a good evening. Everybody, I do appreciate y'all listening to the On the Gunline podcast. If you have any views that you would like to challenge or discuss, you know, definitely hit us in the comments, hit us up at onthegunline@gmail.com. Definitely would love to bring up your questions, your comments, your gripes, bitches, complaints, or if you want to come down and shoot the shit like I did with Campos here. I don't have to be somebody that served with you. You know, you just have to be somebody that wants to come and chop it up and shoot the shit, man. It's therapy without the therapist, and it works. All right, with that being said, rounds complete. End of mission. Gun line out. Deuces, y'all. March order. I'll catch you later, Campos. You have a good one, brother.